koutou katoa, ko hono mai I tēnei rangi a tāhua. Tēnei maua ko Rawinia Kingi, e mihi atu nei ki a koutou I tēnei wā. Ko hoki mai ki tēnei wāhanga ki te kōrero I ngā kaupapa o te wā. O tira te whakanui I ngā kaupapa o Pautama, me ngā āhuatanga o te tohe me te pure. O tira te whakawhiti kōrero I tēnei pai I ngā whiako kua pānei ki te katoa. Nā reira, tēnei ka mihi atu ki a koutou katoa.
Rongomaianiwaniwa Milroy. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
Maringa nui mātou kua hono mai koe I tēnei rangi. No ngā kāwai whakapapa katoa koe, no reira mihi ana ki o kāwai katoa. O tira ki ngā mahi kua oti a koe I roto I ngā tau. No reira ki te hoki au ki au tuhinga, me te mea nei kāre koe he tino hihia te tuhi kōrero mōu anō. Engari I roto rā ngā kōrero mai te pāka whakāta, ki te reo irirangi, ngā mahi kaiako, kai tuhi, kai pākihi, hahatu. No reira, pēnei ai ka timata tata ki ngā mahi ka e whai ana e koe I tēnei wā tonu.
Ai, nā mihi kia kōrua hoki I karanga ngā te au kia hono atu kia kōrua I tēnei rangi. Ai, ko taku mahi I tēnei wā kei te whakarite au he momo whakahaerenga kia uru mai ētahi. I tēnei wā kāre au I te tino mōhio ko wai ka uru mai, engari te āhua nei ko te nuinga he Māori. Nā te mea ko taku kirimana e whae atia nei e au kei roto I te MSD, Ministry of Social Development. Ana e ki mai ana rātou ki au ko te nuinga o ngā mea kei te whiwhi peni hana he Māori. Ana ko tētahi haurua anō rātou kei te pāngia e te mate hine ngaro. Aha mehe mea he mea iti noa nei, taua mate. Ko etahi kei te tino kino roatu nei te pāngia e te mate hine ngaro. No reira, ko taku mahi kei te ata whakarite au I etahi kaupapa kia tai ai rātou te kimi oranga anō mō rātou. I roto mai I etahi āhuatanga pēnei te ata whakarite I a koe mo te ata. Ko etahi kua it seems a bit stupid, but a morning routine is kind of key to just getting yourself ready in the morning. Ara aha koa ko te whakamoimiti tērā, ara he mea iti noi ho tērā ingari ka tae e te katoa, te whakamoimiti mō ngā taonga, ngā mea kei roto I tō rātou ao I tēnei wā, aha koa he moinga, aha koa he waiwai, he ringaringa, ka tae koe te whakamoimiti mō aua mea kei a koe. Ko te mihi atu kia tamanui te rā, tētahi o nā āhuatanga ka tae tātou kia whai oranga ai tātou. Ana e harai te mea kei te kīnoi ho au, haere atu, hoki atu ki o maunga kia pure ai koe nā hau o tāwhiri māte, engari kei te kimi he ranga hau I roto I te ao pūtae ao Pākehā nei, hei tautoko I aua momo kōrero. No reira, ka ki pēr kia tikina tau ko tērā tauira kia hoki atu koe ki o maunga kia pure ai koe nā haua tāwhiri mātea. I roto I te ao Pākehā pūtai ao, ka ki rātou, if you are to go back to your mountains, there's a hell of a lot of negative ions that are in the air, and it balances out the positive ions caused by stress in your environment. Nō reira, ko taku, koera taku tino hihia, ko te tiki nātu I ngā whakaaro Māori ka kimi he rangahau Pākehā hei tautoko. Kaua I te mea kāre au I te whakapono ki aua mea. Ko aua anō kāre tērā pēr ka whakaaro etahi, kei te tiki nātu nei hoe koe nā te mea kāre koe te whakapono ki te ao Māori, e hara ko tērā. Engari, he mahana tāngata kai te tupu ake I roto te ao Pākehā me te whakaaro he ahua airy-fairy nā kōrero Māori ne. Nō reira ki te tīkinātu he kōrero mai te ao Pākehā I roto te ao pūtai ao, there's research, era momo mea. He mea tērā hei tautoko I te kōrero.
Kei kia whai wāhia niwa te whakatika ia no ana kōrero hia nei, morning routines. Ai era momo āhuatanga katoa, ka kōrero ia mo te negative ions, that's salt lamps. So I roto I tēnei kaupapa, kei te kimi mātou I etahi rau, I era momo rautaki kia ora no te hinenga ro te wairua o te tangata. So, you know, totally agree with her around, you know, some of us think that it's airy-fairy.
Yeah.
And how there's a need for some of us to need it to be quantified or even have evidence to back it up. So totally support that kōrero. Nui tokomaha mātou e tipu ana I tērā au. So how can we whakahoki mai ia tātou, kia tātou tikanga? Our tipuna. So we want to be talking about that too. Like, what are some of those tikanga that you saw, Niwa, or you experienced growing up, and start to think about how those, if we were to reapply those tikanga in a modern day context, you know, would there be he hua, ka puta, that is different to what we're seeing today in terms of our high rates of suicide, high rates of mate hinengaro. You know, those are the things that we're interested, because we believe that ki te whakahoki mai I rā tikanga, you know, te pure, te tohi, I rā momo ki a tātou tamariki, right into adulthood and beyond, then we believe that ka pakari te tū a tātou tamariki rangatahi I tēnei au. So if we can talk about that, when you're ready.
If we can go back right before before a child is even conceived, and I was thinking about it the other day, is that if we're to think about how there was arranged marriages, I'm not saying that we need to arrange marriages now, but the whole purpose of arranging a marriage is ka tikinatu he rangatira he rangatira, ana me hono atua ia ki tētahi wahine rangatira. Ana ka tiro te hapori, te whānau katoa, kōwai he wahine, he tāne rāne, hei moi ki tēnei wahine tāne. So they were very careful in their sampling of who should be together and why they should be together. And there was a whole union of families, of iwi, of hapu, who were in cahoots with creating a perfect child almost. Like, you know, not perfect in the Pākehā sense, but perfect in that we're going to create a I roto te whakaaro Māori, me haumako te whenua, me he mea kei te whakatō kākano koe, me haumako te whenua. And meaning that the community needs to be right, the iwi needs to be right, the hapu needs to be right, the rangatira bloodlines need to be right. So they were careful in their selection of who was to be together. And there's some really interesting research on genomic imprinting that shows that the thoughts and the emotions and the behaviours of both parents, moments to days to weeks before conception, cast the first genetic die. And so our tipuna, science is only just catching up with what our tipuna already knew way back then. And so that means that if a mother or a person was living in fear or hardship, and it's put into that information is put into the sperm of the man, and that influenced the development of the child. So if they were in a situation where they were lacking in food, or there was wars and things like that, then the genetic information is passed down in order for that child to be more well equipped to deal with the environment that they were coming into. Therefore, and before we even start with giving birth to our children, we need to create an environment that is ready to receive a child. And that when they come into it, they are ready to receive it. So that's why a lot of Indigenous cultures, including Māori, Koreans, Native Indians, Native Japanese people, they would, before marriage, they would abstain. And it wasn't just sexually abstain, it was because they both wanted to bring the best of themselves to creating this new life and new being, because it was the biggest gift that you could give to your tribe was, the kind of gift that you want to give to your people, to your tribe, was through your, the biggest gift you could give was through your progeny that you produce. So abstinence from having sex before the wedding was to ready yourself emotionally, spiritually, and so that you could think about what it is that you wanted to bring into creating this new life and this new human being, and thinking about the future and the circumstances to come for your iwi, hapu, whatever it might be. And then what happens is there's the cross-linking, which we all know about, 23 chromosomes from the man, 23 chromosomes from the wahine, and the cross-linking happens. And that's when the genetic information is being shared. And, as Māori, we all buzz out at that because we love our whakapapa and things like that. So we can go back and we look at all the things that our tipuna have passed down to us. And that's what makes us feel good and about ourselves. So I think these are all little things along the way that are setting up for someone to becoming a better person, to becoming into an environment where they can flourish. And also as Māori, because whakapapa is important to us, having those right connections, because we can look back at these people and these, even as we whakapapa back to our own maunga, it creates that connection with the creative consciousness that is greater than us and makes us feel good about ourselves. How can we not feel good about ourselves when we see, wow, that maunga is me? Oh, wow, those tipuna are me. That's who I am, I'm from this iwi, this is my hapu, this is, how can you not feel good about yourself? And so I think having those set up even before your child has even come into the world is important. And I think our tipuna knew that long time ago as well, as they set up the way things have been set up, creates that well-being for the child. And then when the child is in the womb, there's the mother's bloodstream is being filled with information and feeding that child constantly. So all her emotions, what she is seeing out in the world, and as we know, our mothers used to do the ori, or there was all sorts of ways that information was being passed to the child during that time of gestation. And we've heard it a lot in our stories of mothers singing ori of. And some of them were not so great ones. They were for rānaki mate and all those sorts of things. But those are sort of little things that we can put into place now too, is singing to our children while they're in the womb, knowing that they're getting all the information that there is. The downside of that is that we have mothers who are in situations where dad might be abusive. Dad might be, there's, abuse of substances and things like that. So in those situations where a child is growing in fear, there'll be even physical changes within the child. There'll be a smaller frontal lobe, a larger back part of the brain, larger adrenal glands, all ready to cope with the situation that they have to come into. So, if we can have our mothers in situations where they are being cared for properly, where they're being nurtured by the whānau, the iwi, the hapu, the community, and getting her out of situations like that. So, and on the good side too, we have dads who are able to give good role models for the children and to be feeding that information before baby is even born. Yeah.
And kai kia tō whakamārena, kai te whakamoe koe, o tātou mātauranga Māori, ki te pūtaiao. And, you know, pēnā kōrero mua, we already knew that. We were scientists. We were all of that. And science is just catching up now. So I'm enjoying the connect and, you know, the kōrero around te iho matua, because ka kōrero here, e rā kōrero I roto I ēnei wānanga, like that's your iho matua. And we have that kōrero around brain development because that's so important to understand as well. So
yes,
continue.
Where was I up to? So then baby's born, and I think there's little things that babies do, or that we can talk about in terms of learning, and that there's this what are called mirror neurons, and we can all remember when you're feeding baby and we all go like this, you know, you're feeding the spoon, you go and you're not even intending to, but it's like it's a way that babies understand. Oh, I have to open my mouth like that, idiot, you know. Okay, and then so mirror neurons are actually really important, not just for little things like that, but when the child is seeing what's going on in their environment. If dad is out doing the gardens, if mum is doing whatever you're doing, this becomes an important time that the child is seeing what they need to do in order to become a good functioning person. So if they're seeing horrible things, if they're seeing someone not treating mum right, those are all things that are going to be carried on and become cyclic in them, because in those years of 0 to 7 years, those are the most important times of our brain development. That's like when we're creating the hardware for how we are going to cope with life in the years to come. And anything else that we learn after 7 years is just like software that we've uploaded onto the brain to use and carry on. But everything between the 0 and 7 years is really important. And it's important because our kids are in this, their brainwaves are in a delta theta mode, which means that they haven't got an analytical mind. So if you tell them, "Oh, you're so brilliant. You're going to be awesome at that," or "Gee, you're koretake at math. You're going to be like me." They're not going to know any different. They're just going to go, "Oh, okay," because they haven't got the function of the analytical mind yet. So whatever you're feeding them at that time between 0 and 7, they're just going to believe you, and that's why they go along and they'll pick up my boys, for example, would just go into the cupboards, get out the flour, put it all over the place, and you know, you're going, don't do that, and then then you go, "Oh, you want to put your shoes on?" And they go, "Nah, I don't want to do that," and you wonder why. They're just totally mirroring everything that you say to them and everything that you do. So, and our tipuna was so clever in that way too. They knew. They had their children sitting in on the wānanga, sitting in on things, and they were never growled, they were never smacked, they were never, you know, that was an important time where their brain is being fed and they're encouraged and given all the compliments under the sun and told that they're going to be everything that they can want to be. And because the brain doesn't know any different then. And then after 0 to 7, so the neural pathways are created during those times, and then if you're not using them, they get pruned off by the brain. And then between in the teenage years between 13 and 25 is when the brain is going through this crazy mode. I think of it like a laptop when you leave it and it goes into sleep mode, and that's what our teenagers are doing. They're going into a sleep mode, and nobody really knows what's happening with the brain at the time, but it's doing some weird functions at the time, and that's why our teenagers are doing stupid things. And I look back, I remember almost waking up at 25 and looking back and going, oh my God, what was I up to? You know, thinking, what was I thinking? You weren't thinking at all when you were a teenager. So we've got to be careful too about our poor old teenagers are just, I don't want to use the word, but they're just in dumb mode. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, our brain function, all the things that we're feeding our children between the ages of 0 to 7 are important. Understanding that from that time there are things that are getting pruned off the brain, and then it goes into a sleep and awake mode all throughout our teenage years until we've come to 25 and we open up and we realise, my analytical mind is working properly. I should know what I'm doing now, and you sort of do wake up and know what you're up to after 20. Well, sort of. Some of us. I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. But yeah, you kind of have an idea of you're a bit more in control of yourself, I guess, after the 25 years of age. But getting back to that's so off what I was writing in my program.
It's so on for what we've been doing, though.
But I've been thinking about all those sorts of things as I've been writing the program, and what has caused some of the problems why Māori are where they are at now. And it's because we've had a breakdown of culture, because we've had colonisation happen, and we don't have the same facilities that we did when our culture was strong, meaning a strong whānau, iwi, hapu, supporting us. If Dad was to go to war and didn't return, there was the hapu to pick up the pieces, to pick up the slack wherever there was. And colonisation has caused us to be living separately. Myself and my kids, we very rarely go back to Rātoki, in the same way that I used to when I was growing up. It's just things have changed, times have changed. So things that I would love to see back to help our people would be, it's a hard one, really. I can't say for sure this is going to work, because things have changed so much, and because we're having to catch up so much on things that have gone wrong, I guess. But definitely creating if we could create a community that is supporting our whānau more in all sorts of ways. Is there enough kai in the house? Is the house warm? Just the basic needs. If we could somehow create that for our whānau, that would go a long way to making things easier and making things different, and realising too that they have the support. I think a lot of our whānau now are relying on the Ministry of Social Development, are relying on WINS, and don't know where else they can turn to get support and help. Ask me a question, then might go on for another few more ramblings.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on that whole community-led space. Te noho tahi o te whānau, te hapu, te iwi, and realising that, pēnei a mātou I hoki haere aku kaumātua ki te taone, ki mioranga ai. And so now we're returning home. So we're that generation that have grown up in the cities that are returning home. And I realise that it's not the case for everyone else living in the cities. Like we don't have that like hapu, and so it's important to create our new community. And so within tēnei kaupapa, we feel it's important that we have the community-led rites of passage, that it's been headed by the community. It's not a group of people coming into the community and leaving. Because karehe hua we're just leaving our kids. And so, what do you think is the importance of that community-led rites of passage style that we're looking for?
I think it's important to have the familiar faces to create the stability. I mean, a good example is Waipareira Trust. I saw on the news a couple of weeks back, 2 girls were in hospital with their babies. Their babies were going to be taken off them, and they didn't know who to turn to, so they rang up Waipareira Trust. Now, Waipareira Trust don't normally do this sort of thing. That's not their thing, but they just felt sorry for the girls. All the workers at the trust decided, right, we're all going down to the hospital and we're going to organise something amongst ourselves for these girls, and it turned out really well. But John Tamahere, he actually was on TV. He cried because it's like they didn't have anywhere else to turn to. They called us. We were working, but we decided, right, these are our kids, these are our Māori kids, we're sick of this happening, let's go down to the hospital and organise something amongst ourselves that we can work out with the mums, with the oranga tamariki and with ourselves, and they sorted it amongst themselves. So hugely important that the mums have, even though Waipareira Trust wasn't set up necessarily for that sort of thing, that the mums felt like, here's a place I can ring, and they're all Māori, they're supporting me, surely they're going to come and help, and they did. They answered the call, and I think it's important too that that there's no, I think a lot of Pākehā systems have a lot of policies and procedures and things, and if Waipareira Trust had decided, no, this is out of our realm of dealing with, that's not our thing, those babies would have been taken away from their mums. So I think if we have to get rid of all those sort of red ribbon things that get us all tied up and just go, okay, let's just find solutions. Solution-driven things is where it's at. But can't emphasise anymore that how important it is for the community to somehow come together and do things.
That would have been huge for them to make that move to call as well, the bravery within those girls to make that move to do that, and for a lot of our young mummies and solo parents, it's do I make that call or do I not, because the judgment that comes with a lot of those things, So,
absolutely. The good thing about this girl, that's what I felt a little bit teary-eyed too, because the girl came on camera and she said, I know I've got addictions, I know I've got problems, but I've called out for help in so many places and I haven't got the help, or it's minimal, or it's only here and there. So I thought she was really brave. It comes from both sides. You have to be brave, and you have to have these places that are ready. I think the most important thing is baby, no judgment of mum. It's more so it's a failure of the system rather than it's not mum's failure, it's the system's failure.
And I think within this kaupapa, with Pautama, we reflect on what we were like what you were saying earlier, what we were like as rangatahi. you know, and we thought, man, if we had programs like this in place when we were growing up, I'm sure we would have made some different decisions and what we do in our lives. And so that's, you know, part of what we're trying to do is to bring back our communities so that we're all practicing and finding ways in this century to practice some of those rites of passage. So would you want to share with us, like earlier you talked about morning routines, and some people think it's but we're into it, eh? Like we are trying to restore those practices because he pai mo te wairua. Eh? Like we often focus on rites of passage and the signal as being our tinana, but really our hana te wairua, and so how do we whāngai our wairua? So be cool to have a, you know, a kōrero about what are some of those practices that we can do now.
While I was writing the program, I looked at the whare tapa whā model, and I've always gone a little bit about that, because in my mind, wairua is the circumferencing of all those things, and I actually added in maha maha, which is emotions as well. So I allow wairua to be the main, overarching, strongest part of ourselves, and how we access our wairua is through those other things, through our tinana, through our hinengaro, through our maha maha, through our, what was the other one? Anyway, so for example, getting back to what I was saying about mihi kia tamanui tera, using our tinana to access our spirituality is doing things like going through for hikoi in the ngahere, connecting with the ngahere, connecting with our bush, knowing our rongoa, sometimes getting rongoa from the bush, and other things that we do for our tinana wise to connect with our wairua is going back to tangaroa. And sometimes, you know, I get people to write their raru in the sand and let the tide wash it away, and acknowledging mamai is sometimes the biggest step. If you have trauma and problems from your past, or you've just had an argument with someone that day, writing it in the sand, writing it on paper and burning it, or writing it in the sand and allowing for tangaroa to wash that away, and acknowledging your mamai is better than burying it and pretending that it's not there. As soon as we acknowledge our mamai, we're able to let it go. And doing things like, hoki atu ki o maunga. And in the morning routine, one of the most important ones for me was gratitude and whakamoemiti. Because myself even, you wake up, and you can just wake up on the wrong side of bed thinking all the things, and it just sets the tone for the day. If you can wake up and be grateful for just opening your eyes that day, for breathing, for having feet to walk on, for having food in the house, for having a warm bed, for having someone to wake up next to, for having family to say hello to, that's doing a heck of a lot better. Because if people think about it, there are people who are homeless who want your home. There are people who are lonely who want your family. There are people who are hungry who want your food. And you just got to count your blessings, and that just changes your whole vibration, because I'm all about this vibrational energy as well. And you know, the vibration.
I want to say, sorry, and so tautoko that. Yes, carry on.
Yeah, the vibration that you put out there is what is gonna come back to you. So for me, the morning routine that's important. Kore tinana, moving, getting the blood flowing, whether it be yoga, whether it be tirako, whether it be going for a run. Some people are gym bunnies. I'm not a gym bunny. So for me, I like doing breathing. Is that your tautoko move? Breathing. Like there's a lot of research now around taking notice of our breath and how if you just did 5-second breath in, 5-second breath out, did that for 2 minutes, that lowers your cortisol levels by 20%. That's quite a lot. That's your stress hormones, just by 20%. And so even if after work, if you learn how to do that, or even in a stressful situation, if you can remove yourself and learn how to breathe in and out, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. If you get better at it, and you do it for 2 minutes to 5 minutes, that's going to lower your cortisol levels by a big time. I also, I'm creating a self-mastery journal to go along with it, so that when you do your gratitude in the morning, you can write it down. And if you're feeling crappy, some days you can look back at all the things that you have been grateful for in the days earlier, and you can put in your journal things that you're successful at. It might just be getting up in the morning, it might just be getting to work. Some of us are fighting that battle, of just getting ourselves to work, and you gotta pat yourself on the back for that, because and we all think that everybody's doing better than us, but we all got to understand that everybody's fighting their own struggles. And I think that if we start to understand that, your struggle might not be as hard as the next door neighbours, but everyone is struggling. And even someone who's living in a mansion, we don't know what they're going through, We don't know what anybody's going through in their private time. So we have to, just take the time out and focus on yourself. Stay in your lane, focus on what you're doing, be grateful for what you're doing, get up and exercise, drink your water, and those are some of the things we can do ātinana-wise to connect with our spirit. Some of the things that I thought about hinengaro-wise to connect with wairua is exactly what I'm doing at the moment, is doing all this research that makes you wonder about the universe, makes you grateful for the creative consciousness, makes you go, wow, I'm a part of this. It's like, whether it be, it's a good time now to get into listening to Rangi Mātāmua and his Matariki Kōrero, and learning. These are ways that we connect with our wairua through our hinengaro, is that we can only but wonder, because it's so amazing. The universe is so amazing. If we use our hinengaro to gather knowledge, it makes us wiser, and which makes us more in touch and in tune with our spirituality. And emotions, how we can connect with our wairua through emotions is through writing, because not only can we experience those awesome emotions like love, happiness, joy, all those wonderful things, the hard emotions can help us search ourselves deeper, search within ourselves to find a deeper meaning for things, to find an inner strength. Like some of us go, come on, tipuna, come and help me. We call upon our tipuna. These are ways that we're connecting with our spirituality to help us get through the day. Or we karakia to God, or we karakia to whoever to help us get through. So sometimes emotions are a way of helping us connect spiritually as well, whether they be hardships or whether they be good times. It's a chance for us to look in upon ourselves and dig deeper as to finding meaning as to our purpose here on the earth, our purpose in life. What was the other? Maha, tinana, mental, wairua. What is the whare tapawhā part?
Whānau?
I think I got them all. whanaungatanga. Yes, that's what we've missed. Oh, man, that one I can go on forever. But, yeah, because I connect it with everything. So, like, one of my favourite things when I'm talking about whanaungatanga is I relate it to a kahikatea grove. Because kahikatea, when they're growing in a grove, they intertwine their roots, and all those roots are talking to each other, feeding each other, supporting each other. If one of the kahikatea is starting to fall over, the other ones will send more nutrition to that kahikatea and to help stand it up. And no matter how far across the other side of the grove or the forest one tree is, they understand what the other one is doing down the other end. If there's new plants that are growing in between them, the kahikatea will if you look up, they'll make space in the canopy for light to shine upon the new ideas and new growth. So that's, I always relate whanaungatanga back to the kahikatea grove, as because whanaungatanga is big on helping us grow, support. It gives us what we need to be. You know, if you're an individual growing in there, you're still an individual, but your whanaungatanga with your kahikatea grove is still holding you up. So, yeah, I like to use that as an example of whanaungatanga and how we can access our spirituality through whanaungatanga. Man, it's unexplainable, really, isn't it? It's this thing called mate aone that we have in Tūhoia. It's that call you have, that hunger you have to be amongst each other when you haven't been to kapahaka practice for ages and you're like, oh man, I miss that. Or you haven't been with your whānau for ages, or you haven't been to your marae and just leant up against the popo in your whare and things like that. It's an unexplainable kind of being in touch with our spirituality. That whanaungatanga is really important. Well, they're all important. But the overall arcing, thing that encompasses it all.
Niwa, can we talk a little bit about what your uru kahikatea looked like when you were growing up, and how that's helped to shape, where you're at right now in your life?
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm a town Māori. I grew up in Auckland and in Hamilton, and my siblings, who are quite a bit older than me, they all went to school and university and did the education thing. But by the time I came along, Dad had become a teacher of the reo, and thought, geez, I better start speaking Māori to my youngest one. So I came along and he started speaking the reo, not thinking that I'd pick it up because my whole environment was Pākehā. But it took me a while. I was 3 years old before I actually spoke, and it was a whole sentence in te reo. I didn't have little words here and there like other children. I spoke a whole sentence in te reo, and when I spoke, my dad thought to himself, geez, I better get other people around that she can speak Māori. So there's that mirroring that I was talking about the environment that you see that you want your children to feed off. So he'd try to take me back to Rāwhaki as often as possible, just so I could hear other people speaking Māori and see what was going on there. And I do feel like that really changed the way my brain developed and the way I see the world in comparison to my brothers and sisters. But even though I still went to mainstream school, there wasn't any such thing, now this is showing my age, as kura kaupapa o kohanga reo back in those days. So I went to mainstream school. They thought I was deaf because I wasn't quite figuring out what they were saying. But but then Dad was working at Waikato University at the time, so on the days that he could, I'd go up to Waikato University just so I could hear other people speaking Māori, because at the time Timothy was still working there. Uncle Hirini, Melbourne, was still there. I think I hang out with him the most because, yeah, us creative types. And Media Simpson and John Rangiho was there, and John Moorfield. That's why you'll probably see in John Moorfield's book, you'll see my name Newa's in there. And he'd test out his little things on me just because he was writing those books for learners, and I was a little learner at the time, I guess. So he thought, oh yeah, that would be the right sort of level for learners of the reo. So I had a really cool but unusual upbringing, I guess, different because I was growing up in the town. I didn't grow up in a truly Māori environment, but I did have a lot of Māori reo around me. And the people that Dad were involved with, like if we go back to a wānanga, we might have gone to have a wānanga at Maunga Pōhatu with Hohepa Kirialana, and it wasn't any big deal for him to just talk about all the different trees and all the rongoa that you could get from as we're walking along. It wasn't like a rongoa wānanga. It was just the way he spoke, and talking about his gardens or things like that. So, yeah, that was the kind of childhood I had. I loved my childhood. I had really good parents, both in the education sector. But yeah, I did feel out of place having reo and not having people around me who spoke the reo, going to school and not knowing what value my reo had, really. Even apart from being a teacher, people who spoke the reo went on to become a teacher of the reo at that time while I was growing up. Now it's different. It's so different. Even I went to Australia for 3 years and I came back and I was like, what the heck happened to Aotearoa? There's young people singing Māori on TV with cool ass songs. That was so not the norm when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I'd go to this supermarket and I spoke the reo, and you get evil looks and people telling my dad that you shouldn't be speaking that language. I know it happens now, but it was really bad back then. You shouldn't be speaking that language here and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, all that stuff. So, yeah, that was my upbringing.
What would you take from that? And or what have you taken from that time growing up and, going home? What would be the special parts that you would take and put into your kite and feed into your babes now?
I really wish I could go back in time to show them what I grew up with, because things have changed so much. Even with just at my marae, the people who were there and the taonga that they had to give and the way they spoke. I played an old video of my auntie, well, it's actually my dad's auntie, speaking to my nephew and niece, and they were like, are they speaking Māori? They just it sounded like a whole different language to them, because it was a different language. Māori has, since listening to them to now, it's quite a different language, not in a bad or better way or anything, and even when one of my nieces came with me to Waikato Moana, this was recently, my cousins came in the middle of the night talking, and she was like, gosh, I thought they were Fijians. The reo was so different. Yeah. So I wish I could go back in time, but what I take away now is actually what I'm putting into the program at the moment that I'm writing is the importance of your spirituality, the importance of our connection to nature, our connection to the creative consciousness as a way of being better ourselves, as being better people. Seeing ourselves in those bigger things makes you feel good about yourself. I think that's my main takeaway is being proud of who you are, being proud of where you've come from, knowing who you've come from, knowing where you've come from. I suppose that's not anything different from the norm, really, but yeah, that is the main thing to give to my tamariki and my mokopuna that are to come. The reo as well, of course. The reo opens up that world to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that you've shared this today with us, and you know, kei te ruru, te maahunga, rungi te whakai ai, and you know, ka tautoko ki ngā kōrero, this is what we're doing. We're living with teenagers. We've got babies, new babies at the feet, and it's trying to build those communities so that our babes have that. They know how to be with one another. They know te katoa, or te katoa.
Yeah.
Ngai ana ki a rātou. But also our girls having their full knowledge of growing, of developing, and the boys knowing the same, but how can they best support each other instead of being a part in the journey, like pulling them together is absolutely essential for us.
That's something I'm starting to look into at the moment, which I haven't fully got my head around, is the what I'm calling whatukura māreikura side of people, the feminine divinity and the masculine divinity within ourselves, and it's not necessarily gender binding. It's just realizing those beautiful potentials within ourselves, within the feminine, within the masculine, and what those mean. Because I think it's been a little bit screwed up about what makes a man. You know, society has dictated to our men in particular, our boys in particular, how they should be, and it's not necessarily the right thinking. And they mistake, for example, if we look at tūmatauenga, they mistake tūmatauenga as being this aggressive war man. But there's a hell of a lot more to tūmatauenga than that. Tūmatauenga is the reason why we can go hunting and fishing, and he creates that reverence for life that we need. And he creates the healthy outlets for emotions, you know, like if we are to do mautaiaha, tirako, those sorts of things, those are healthy outlets for emotions that we're carrying inside ourselves with, as a man or a boy or even a girl who's feeling angry and things. It's a peaceful outlet for in a way that an outlet that may not have been there before, and especially for our men we're carrying DNA of warriors who had to fight for their land, warriors who had to fight for their survival. And to not have those outlets anymore, we don't have war, we don't have things, but we do need to create outlets where here we go on my science again. It's been found in research that if there isn't a release of that testosterone, that it can create a deviance within, and how that deviance manifests itself can be in so many different ways. And I'm thinking that perhaps that deviance for our Māori men is suicide, because we're not getting that outlet for the testosterone that's created, and it's healthy. You know, hormones are healthy. We're supposed to be having these things. We're supposed to have ways of releasing these outlets. And also, I'm going all over the show, but anyway, I was thinking about when our men went to war, to World War II. Back in the days we had, before World War II, before Pākehā came, and we had war, men would come back and we had these ceremonies to ki te tango I te tapu mai te pakanga, you know, with the kina nā kahukura o te ati, I roto I te wai, ko te hoki, ka whakahoki mai I a rātou ki a rātou wāhine, kia tau ai te wairua I roto I a rātou, ko te wahine anake, ka taia te mahi I te rā mahi. Nō reira, I was thinking about when our men went to war, did those ceremonies happen when they returned? No. Did, you know, so there was a deviance created then also that became an illness in terms of alcoholism amongst them. And that passed down through generations. So creating we need to create healthy outlets for our boys, particularly, who create healthy outlets physically, emotionally and spiritually, all different ways, whanaungatanga wise, everything. We need to create those outlets, and for our wahine too, to find their feminine strength, and knowing that wow, you know, we so overlook the fact that women are the portals that spirits decide to descend upon to come into the earth. Like, what the heck?
Yes.
You know? What the heck? How, you know, we forget how powerful we are. And men forget how powerful they are. And we forget how powerful they are when they come together. So I'm only just sort of starting to think about, roll those thoughts around in my head. But those are some of the things that have come to me about our feminine and masculine powers that we need to express and take care of and find healthy outlets for and healthy expression for. Yeah.
Well, if any time you would like to come to one of our wānanga and join in and hear how we do the do with our girls, that might help you with your research, you're more than welcome to come and join us.
Love to, yeah.
And we would like to be part of your journey.
Yeah.
Cool. I need all the help I can get.
Well, we're here and we know you're there, and te hanga nei e whai ana e tātou I te huarahi ki te puna o te ora. Mō wā tātou whakatipuranga e haere ake nei. Nō reira e mihi ana kia koe niwa, mō I whakawāte I tēnei wā. I whai wāhi mai koe te kōrero kia māua ko kiri o tira te ao whānui. E mātaki mai ana. Me te mea nei ka tukuna tēnei kiriata karikoatahia, ka noho ki tērā, he āhua whare puka te hanga I tēnei wā ne, te YouTube nei.
Ka pai.
Wai hoa ke hei taonga kia nanau atu mā tātou tamariki mokopuna e haere ake nei. Nō reira mihi ana kia koe niwa, he nui ngā akoranga, he nui kua whauwhia te kete, I tēnei wā, nō reira kāti ko ngā mihi mata kui kia koe I tēnei wā. Mauri ora kia tātou, kia koe, o tira tō tātou ao Māori. Mā te wā.
Kia ora. Tēnā rawa te kōrua hoki.